oh, God has picked his flower, and all the good ones always get
taken
taken
his
first.
angels and we in hell.
Yeah. Need to talk to certain people, and there's certain people who don't need to always follow themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to be starring all the time in every situation. If someone young has lost someone in their life, does it make sense for the oldest person in the family to be talking to them?
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nothembi Basson, a.k.a. the Rich Mogul, and I'm joined by Mbongeni Dhilwayo. How are you?
Excellent. And you?
I'm excellent. Even though, guys, we have to reshoot this episode because we lost the previous footage. So, yeah, it's just a curveball, but welcome back. And thank you guys for 150 subscribers. And today, we will be talking about grief and its lasting impact. So we can start off by starting with what is grief? What is the definition of grief?
Well, grief is an emotional reaction to loss or some sadness, and usually it's in connection with death. That's the general definition of grief.
Mm-hmm.
But how I understand the term is more associated with the stages of grief, because grief is a process, it's not an event. And those 5 stages being denial, then bargaining, followed by anger, depression, and finally acceptance. So each of these stages, you go through them, and they're not necessarily in a sequence. You can find yourself going up and down the 5 stages as you go through the grief journey, because there's no complete end. Even with acceptance, you can come from a place of acceptance to then going back to anger. These things just happen because it's a volatile emotional space.
And what are some ways you would say you cope with waves of grief, and what strategies have you found most helpful?
For me, the waves of grief is connecting with people that understand, which is why I think support groups are particularly important, because I then would speak to someone who was also close to this person that is deceased. And I even celebrate if I think about a person who has passed. So if today I was to miss my grandmother, then I would kind of think that that's her also reaching out to me. And that's how I comfort myself in that I haven't forgotten you haven't forgotten me. You know what I mean? It's because, well, she's just on the other side, is the way I look at it anyway.
I always just try to be better, or try to be because when I think of the people that I've lost, I'm like, they were such good people. They deserve to never die. So I also want to be remembered like that, and just constantly be that person, that good person for other people. So I'd say, I just try to constantly better myself.
Yeah, no, you triggered me. You remind me of this thing where people talk about how, oh, God has picked his flower, and all the good ones always get taken
his
first.
Angels and we in hell.
Yeah, and the rest of us are left down here. Because I remember that when I was younger, it really was this case of, why are the good ones going?
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm bad? Why did I get left behind?
Yeah. In what ways has grief changed your perspectives on life, relationships, or yourself?
Well, I wrote this at a cousin's funeral because I was asked to do a reading, and I struggled to find words.
So you the one who see your kids who get to read the obituaries. Well, we here have together.
No, I don't know if it's because it's anything to do with middle C or anything.
Oh, English.
I think it's just as you get older, they expect more responsibility from you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was a passenger in a lot of funerals in the family.
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm starting to, there's a greater expectation to get involved. But I did write this thing where I spoke about how my cousin had gold in his soul, and how we all have that duty to be good, to mine within ourselves that gold. Because I think maybe we took it for granted when we have good people around us. We think it's easy for them. And so now that they are gone, we have to find those wells of goodness within ourselves And that's what I mean by pressure, because it's like I'm trying to make it feel like we didn't lose this person if that person can kind of live through me.
Yes.
And if I try and do what I think that person would do, if I was to try and live up to standards that I think that person kind of set. So that's how it's impacted me and continues to impact me.
Yeah, that's actually so beautiful and deep. I would say for me, I've also become more intentional now. Like I realize one mistake is joy. Like with those people, I had a lot of, I wish I could have reached out more. I wish I was a better person. But I did kind of see them before they passed away. So I was like, okay, at least God gave me that, because I hadn't seen them for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, now I need to be more intentional. I wasn't as intentional before and I didn't care really. But now I'm more intentional about my relationships, about what I do, especially of my actions. And try to find that gold within me. How do you honor your loved one's memory and keep them present in your life?
No, I think that's it. It's living up to what they've left behind, and even a simple thing is just thinking about them, mentioning them in conversation, and then also, so just within my experience, there's this thing where when someone passes, there are certain items that will be given out to the family and stuff. And I really value those items. Probably I value now things I received from people who passed on more than I value things that I buy for myself. Because it's like keeping that person, like there's a shirt I'm wearing that, like, guys, it's vitigat. It's been chewed up, but I can't let it go because I don't want to. I probably should probably frame it now and stuff.
Yeah.
I should retire it.
But it's sentimental.
But it's very, very sentimental. And when I wear it, I feel like I'm going out into the world and I'm not alone.
Yes, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And what would you say? What are some common misconceptions about grief that you've encountered, and how do you wish others understood your experience better?
I think misconceptions around grief that I've personally encountered is one, that you can get over it. For me, I don't believe in a destination when it comes to grief, particularly because life is kind of a cycle, and so there's always a remembrance. And with remembrance, there will be an emotional reaction to it that could be different at a different time. Another thing is when we gather and have like get-togethers and family reunions and things like that, that person's missing contributions becomes a conversation point. And yeah, it's for me, it's one way of keeping that person alive, to like, they used to crack these jokes, now we don't have someone telling dirty jokes at the table, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's not, and even if we say it 20 times at the next 20 gatherings, but it's part of a healing process.
Yes, that is true. And I would also agree, like, it's not linear. People like to think like, it's gonna get better. No, it's not, but it's fine. It's fine, because they're never going to be here, and I'm going to constantly mourn them. So I don't like that misconception of it's going to be okay, because there's no okay with grief. Like, I think that you be right, and it's like, I also hate when people say, everything happens for a reason.
Look, time does heal all wounds. Look, I hear them when they say time heals all wounds.
Everything happens for a reason. No, like, I could justify it wrong. Some things are just bad. Just like sometimes there's no lesson, you've just failed.
No, I don't think that's the case, because if we look at, back to my metaphor of the coin, right? There's two sides to every coin. And so what you're seeing is heads. And if you had bet on tails, you have lost. But tails is still there on the other side. And therefore you then have to come up with the thought of saying, maybe let's take another try. So that process won't happen if you hadn't lost. And so the loss brings the next action. And also, if you think about life as a series of events, without that specific event, the rest of the events wouldn't mean as much as they would have if that hadn't happened. So when they say everything happens for a reason, I think you're fighting with the truth, because the truth is that this grief, us losing these flowers, us losing these angels, us losing these good people, calls the goodness out of us.
Yeah.
And so, wouldn't that be purpose? Wouldn't that be a reason to be like, okay, you family, you've been relying on this person. Let's remove this person. Now deal with your problems.
Mm-hmm.
Or you've had this person as a scapegoat. Let's remove the scapegoat. Let's see who you blame now. And in as much as it's difficult and it doesn't necessarily always go well, because I mean, I've had, when my grandmother passed away, the family has not been united ever since.
You do get those people who, once they die, you realize, oh, they were actually holding the whole family together, like, because everyone doesn't care anymore, and you're like, oh, now you realize the importance of Sunday dinners, all of these small things which you thought we probably remembered you when they were alive, but then now it's like, but yeah, sorry for interrupting.
No, but that's perfect, because that's exactly the continuation. Because if this person is doing this thing and you're taking it for granted while they're alive, then how do you not take it for granted unless they're dead?
Okay.
But I said I do think more than I feel, and so yeah, emotionally it's a very negative thing to say, but I think, look, life is going to unfold the way it unfolds.
The gods have dark humor, like they say in House of Black.
The gods have dark humor. It's not funny at the time.
Yeah, it's not funny at the time, but like that's what I'm saying. I think it's like I feel like.
No, but you see, later on you're now laughing. So,
but I laugh through everything because I just have.
That's resilience in itself.
I do not want to be known as resilient. I rebuke that, guys. Whoever is watching, I want to be soft. I'm not a robot. You know, it's bad when someone says you're the strongest person I know. Like
traumas, because that just means you've gone through many things. Yes, no, it's sad, but look, at the end of the day, there are advantages.
Yeah, that is true. And what would you say is like some advice for like supporting our loved ones during their grief journey, their own grief journey?
Well, I think the one thing for me is appropriateness.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to, and this is maybe my own thing, but I think there's certain people that need to talk to certain people, and there's certain people who don't need to always follow themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to be starring all the time in every situation. So, for example, if someone young has lost someone in their life, does it make sense for the oldest person in the family to be talking to them? It probably doesn't, because does that resonate? Are they using metaphors and themes, not even memes because they're old, but are they using themes that would apply to this person in their context? So I think it's about proximity. I think it's about closeness and understanding. If someone understands your context, that's the best person to deal with you in your grief. So for example, in my family, whatever the funeral is, whether it's a grandmother or it's a child, I deal with my generation. My parents' generation have their own people to deal with and support structures, and my grandparents, they've got their own. It's me and my cousins. That's my generation, and then of course leading the nephews and things like that. But beyond, because at the end of the day, families, there's all these dynamics and things. Yeah. So you need to talk to people that can hear you.
Yeah.
And give support to people that can receive it.
And you need to read the room. You can't always just I get what you mean, because I don't necessarily. Like with the elders, it's not like I'm going to go and voice my things, my opinions, or speak the way I speak, because I know it's like, oh, don't do it. Maybe backwards, this person still thinks like that. Or I'm just like, so I'm not necessarily going to want to engage with them the way I would engage with my generation.
Your generation. And it's about vulnerability, so to cut you off there, but it's about the vulnerability. So are you able to be vulnerable with that strict grandfather?
Yeah, you're
probably not. And so whatever that person is saying, you've got that wall up.
Yeah.
And so you need the right person who is able to calm you down, speak to you about the things that matter to you, so that you then open up in a way where you can express your grief and know that you're doing so safely.
Yeah. I would say show up for people, especially like now, like if like if it's a child, obviously you show up, explain to them what happened, and just be there for them constantly, because now they lost someone, they need you. And with like us adults, like make someone dinner, because imagine grieving and then now you have to come home and cook dinner, or in practical ways like run errands with somebody, because it's genuinely so hard to continue when you're grieving. So when you get those people, which I feel like I'm always blessed to always have those people who'll be like, okay, I'll run errands with you, okay, I'm gonna cook you dinner, I know you, oh, I did this for you, helpful ways in which don't allow you to wallow in it, but it's like I'm there for you, but we don't necessarily always have to speak on it unless I want to. So I would say show up, just show up. Thank you guys for making it to the end, and we will be releasing shorts as well. The book of the week is The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is the book of the week. I'm currently reading it, as you can see. I really like it. It's 12 short stories, so it's just quick, fast. If you don't have time to read like a full book, it's really nice. So yeah.
Well, this one is dedicated to one person in particular, but I won't name you. That as soon as someone says, I need help, we have a block to helping them because we assume that means money.
Because a lot of us are in survival mode because we don't have the privilege of being able to learn and realize.
That's what humans need, crave, and want, and we have found every other way to fill that hole except the thing that matters, which is actually just